This is the EdExcel GCSE 9-1 Maths Foundation Paper 3 from the November 2018 series. Question number 1. We have to write a number in each box to make the calculation correct. For the first part, we have 56.3 plus something equals 100. Now, to find out what this something is, we would have to do the calculation 100 subtract 56.3, and it turns out, as a decimal, we would get 43.7. Next, we have 2/7 plus something equals 1. Well, to find out what something is, we would have to do the calculation 1 subtract 2/7, and it turns out we get 5/7. So, we have 5/7 plus 2/7, which is equal to 1. Question number 2. We have to write 3% as a fraction. Well, percentage means out of 100. And so we have 3 out of 100 as 3%. Question number 3, we have to find the square root of 1.44. Well, working out the square root of 1.44, we get 6/5, which is the same as 1.2. So we have 1.2. Question number 4, we have to work out 1/8 of 720. This is the same as 720 divided by 8, and it turns out we get 90. Question number 5, here is a 3D shape. For part A, we have to write down the name of this 3D shape. Well, this is a cuboid. For part B, we have to write down the number of edges of this 3D shape. Well, we have an edge here and here, then here and here, and then we have another edge here and here, we have another edge here and here, then we have an edge here and here, then we have another edge here and here, and it turns out then we would have 12 edges. Question number 6. An ordinary fair dice is thrown once. For part A, on the probability scale below, we have to mark with a cross the probability that the dice lands on an odd number. Well, let's write out the various options we could have. If we throw the dice once, we could either get a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6. How many odd numbers are there? Well, there's 1, 2, 3 of them, and so therefore the probability that we have an odd number is equal to 3/6, and this simplifies to 1/2. So we mark a cross at 1/2. Then for part B, we have to write down the probability that the dice lands on a number greater than 4. Well, how many numbers do we have greater than 4? Well, we've got the 5 and the 6. So the probability that we have a number greater than 4, we would have 2/6, which simplifies to 1/3. And therefore we write down 1/3. Question number 7. Sean is 1.88 meters tall. David is 6 centimeters taller than Sean. How tall is David? Well, first of all, you'll notice here we've got meters and here we've got centimeters. So we would have to make the units consistent. To go from centimeters to meters, we would have to divide by 100, and meters to centimeters, we would have to multiply by 100. And so therefore, if we were to convert the 6 centimeters into meters, we would have to do 6 divided by 100, which is 0.06. So therefore, the 6 centimeters is the same as 0.06 meters. Now, we know that David is 0.06 meters taller than Sean, so the height of David, we've got Sean's height 1.88, and then we add on to this the 0.06, and it turns out we get 1.94 meters. So we have 1.94 meters. Question number 8. 2 pence cost £2.38, 5 folders cost £5.60, Ben wants to buy 20 pence and 20 folders. He only has £50. Does Ben have enough money to buy 20 pence and 20 folders? You must show how you get your answer. Well, what we can do is find out how much 20 pence cost and how much 20 folders cost. We know so far that 2 pence is equal to £2.38, and if we were to find out the cost of 20 pence, well, I can multiply both sides by 10, and if I do this, we get £23.80. And similarly, if we know that 5 folders cost £5.60, then for 20 folders, we would have to do 5 times by 4 to get the 20 folders, and so 560 times 4, that's 2240. So 20 folders is equal to £22.40. And therefore, the total cost, we've got £23.80 plus £22.40. So if we work this out, it turns out we get £46.20, and this is less than the £50 available. So does he have enough money? We can therefore conclude that he has enough money. Question number 9. The diagram shows 5 shapes on a centimetre grid. For part A, we have to write down the name of shape E. Well, what we have for shape E are 2 sides which are parallel to each other. We've got 4 sides in total, and therefore for shape E we have a trapezium. Then 2 of the shapes are congruent. Well, what does congruent mean? Congruent means that the shapes are the same, and therefore which 2 shapes are the same? Well, C and D are the same shape. So the shapes which are congruent will be shape C and shape D. Question number 10. On the grid, we have to reflect the shaded shape in the mirror line. Well, this point is 2 away from the mirror line, so 2 in the opposite direction. We join those up like so. And then this point is 1 away from the mirror line, so joining those up so. This is 1 away from the mirror line, so if we join those up, well, that point will go here. And then this point is 2 away from the mirror line, so 2 down from here. What we can see is we have reflected the shaded shape in the mirror line to give this shape here. Question number 11. There are men and women in a meeting. There are 28 women. 30% of the people at the meeting are men. And we have to work out the total number of people at the meeting. So we've got 70% who are women. So we've got 70%, which is equal to 28 people. And what ultimately we need to do is find out what 100% is. And the reason we need to find out what 100% is because we need to find out the total number. And to do this, we can first of all find out what 10% is, and then what 100% is. So, if we divide by 7 first, that means 28 people divided by 7, that's 4 people. So 4 people is represented by 10%. So 100% multiplying by 10, it turns out 40 people is represented by 100%. The total amount of people is 40. Question 12. John asked each of 60 people to name their favourite vegetable. We've got peas, carrots and mushrooms, and we've got the frequencies for those. 24 for peas, 16 for carrots, 20 for mushrooms. We have to draw an accurate pie chart for her results. Well, for us to draw a pie chart, what we need to do is first of all find the angle. Now, to find the angle, if we know that angles around a point sum to 360, we have a proportion of the sum of angles. And so for peas, we have 24 out of 60 in total. This is the fraction representing peas, and we multiply this by 360 because we have a fraction of 360. We get 144 degrees for peas. And similarly, for carrots, we would have 16 over 60 times 360, which is 96 degrees. And for mushrooms, we would have 20 over 60 times 360, which is 120 degrees. So, if we grab our protractor, what we need to do first of all is measure 144 degrees. So if I measure 144 degrees, we have a line taking us to this point here. And if I join this point up with what goes here, then here we have information shown for P's, and the angle is 144 degrees. Now for carrots, we've got 96, which takes us up to here, and if I join this point up with this point, then here we have carrots. And the angle for carrots is 96 degrees, and then for mushrooms we would have 120 degrees. Question number 13. Annie sold 45 books at £1.20 each, 34 candles at £1.50 each, and some calendars at 90p each. She got a total of £150. We have to work out how many calendars Annie sold. First of all, let x equal the number of calendars that Annie sold. Now, she sells 45 books at 120p or £1.20. So, in terms of how much she made for the books only, we have 45 multiplied by £1.20, then 34 candles at 150, so we have 34 multiplied by 150, and then we have calendars at 90p each, and we are selling X of them, so 90p is the same as £0.90, so that is what 90p is the same as, and then we multiply this by X, and in total we get 150. So we have here information for the books, information here for the calendars, and information here about the calendars, and information here about the candles. So, if we work out 45 times 120 plus 34 times 150, it turns out we would get 105. So we have 105 plus 0.9 x, that's equal to 150. So if I do 150 take away 105, so if I subtract 105 from both sides, that would mean 0.9x is equal to 45. And now if we divide both sides by 0.9, then 45 divided by 0.9 is 50. So that means x is equal to 50. Question number 14. Here is a four-sided spinner. We've got options 1, 2, 3 and 4. And the table shows the probabilities that when a spinner is spun, it will land on a 1, on a 3 and on a 4. The probability that it lands on a 1 is 0.2. the probability that it lands on a 3 is 0.4, and the probability that it lands on a 4 is 0.1. The spinner is spun once, we have to work out the probability that the spinner will land on 2. So we know that probability adds up to 1. So we have 0.2 plus the probability of landing on a 2 plus 0.4, which is the probability of landing on a 3, plus 0.1. This is equal to 1. And so we have 0.2 plus 0.4 plus 0.1, that's 0.7. So probability of obtaining a 2 plus 0.7 is equal to 1, and therefore the probability of obtaining a 2 is equal to 0.3. So we have 0.3, which goes here. And then for part B, which number is the least likely to land on? Well, that will be the one with the lowest probability, which is 4. So we have here 4. And then Jake is going to spin the spinner 60 times. We have to work out an estimate for the number of times the spinner will land on 1. Well, the probability that it lands on a 1 is 0.2. So if we spin the spinner 60 times, that means we would have to do 60 multiplied by 0.2, which is equal to 12. Question number 15. Bert has 100 cards. There's a whole number from 1 to 100 on each card. No card have the same number. Bert puts a star on every card that has a multiple of 3 on it, and he puts a circle on every card that has a multiple of 5 on it. And we have to work out how many cards have both a star and a circle on them. Well, we've got these numbers 1 to 100, and he's putting a star on every multiple of 3 and a circle on every multiple of 5. And we have to find out how many cards have both a star and a circle on them. So what we can do is find out the lowest common multiple of 3 and 5. Well, that's going to be 15. And the reason we want to find out the lowest common multiple is because that will tell us we have to find the multiples of 15, because the multiples of 15 will have both a multiple of 3 and a multiple of 5. So if we write out the 15 times tables, we've got 15, then we've got 30, then we've got 45, then we've got 60, then we've got 75, and then we've got 90. So we've got these numbers in between, but where we have both a multiple of 3 and a multiple of 5 is essentially the 15 times tables. And so how many times do we have both a circle and a star? Well, we've got here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 times it lands on, we have a card with both a star and a circle on them. This is for numbers between 1 and 100. Question number 16, we have to write down the ratio of 450 grams to 15 grams in its simplest form. Well, we have 450 grams to 15 grams. So what we can do is divide both sides by 15. And if I divide both sides by 15, we get 30 grams to 1 gram. So the ratio is 30 to to 1. Question number 17. The diagram shows a pentagon. The pentagon has one line of symmetry. Now here is our line of symmetry. We know that AE is 4x, AB is 2x plus 1, and BC is x plus 2, and all the measurements are in centimetres, and the perimeter of the pentagon is 18. We have to show that 10x plus 6 is equal to 18. Well, we've got AE, which is 4x, so we've got 4x here. Then we've got AB, which is 2x plus 1. And then we've got BC, which is x plus 2. Now, because of symmetry, here we would also have x plus 2. Here we would also have 2x plus 1. So, if we were to find out the perimeter, for the perimeter we've got two lots of x plus 2. We have two lots of 2x plus 1. And then we have the 4x. And the result of this is equal to 18. We are told that the perimeter is equal to 18. 2 times x is 2x, then we add the 4, then we have 4x plus 2 plus another 4x, that's equal to 18. So we've got 10x plus 6 equals 18, and that's what we wanted to show. Now we have to find the value of x. So now we need to solve this equation. Well, if I subtract 6 from both sides, that means we are left with 10x is equal to 12, and if I now divide both sides by 10, then what we are left with is x equals 1.2. So we have x equals 1.2. Question number 18. Trevor buys a boat. The cost of the boat is £14,200 plus VAT at 20%. Trevor pays a deposit of £5,000. He pays the rest of the cost in 10 equal payments. We have to work out the amount of each of the 10 payments. Well, the price including VAT, we need to add 20% to this amount here. So we have 14,200 multiplied by 1.2. The 1.2 represents adding 20% VAT. So if we work this out, it turns out we get a value of 17,040. So that's how much the price of the boat is. Now he pays a deposit of £5,000. So the rest of the payments, well, we've got this 17,040, and then we subtract £5,000, which is the deposit. So we get 12,040, which he needs to pay. And so to work out the amounts of each payment, well, each payment then will equal 12,040 divided by 10, which is £1,204. So we have £1,204. Question number 19. For part A, on the number line, we have to show the inequality x is less than 4. Well, here is the solution represented on the number line. We have values of x being less than 4, so we have an empty circle at 4, and the arrow points to the left. Then for part B, 3 is less than y, which is less than or equal to 7, and y is an integer, we have to write down all the possible values of y. Well, we could have 4, 5, 6, and 7. We can include the 7, we can't include the 3. Then for part C, we have to solve the inequality 3x plus 5 is greater or equal to x plus 17. Well, if I subtract x from both sides, we will be left with 2x plus 5 is greater or equal to 17. If we then subtract 5 from both sides, we see that 2x is greater or equal to 12. And now if we divide both sides by 2, then we have x is greater or equal to 12 divided by 2, which is 6. So we have x is greater or equal than 6. Question number 20 for part A, we have to write 7,357 correct to 3 significant figures. Well, if we want to write this number correct to 3 significant figures, the value is going to be in between 7,350 and 7,360. Now our halfway point is 7,355. Now if our number is 7,355 or greater, we would round up. Our value, 7,357, is greater than this, which means we would have to round to the 7,360. Then for part B, we have to work out the square root of 17 plus 4 squared divided by 7.3 squared. We have to write down all the figures our calculator displays. So, if we key this into our calculator, we've got 17 plus 4 squared square rooted divided by 7.3 squared, and it turns out the value our calculator displays is 0.107981356. Question number 21. Last year Jo paid £245 for her car insurance. This year she has to pay £883 for her car insurance. We have to work out the percentage increase in the cost of her car insurance. Well, the percentage increase, we've got the difference, 883 subtract 245, and then we divide this by the original 245, and then we multiply by 100. So if I work out the percentage increase, it turns out we get 260.408 etc. %. And if I write this to 3 significant figures, we have 260% given to 3 significant figures. Question number 22 for part A, we have to complete this table of values for y equals x squared plus x minus 4. Well, on our calculator, if we go to the table sub-menu, we can key in x squared plus x minus 4. We are starting at -3. We are finishing at 3. We are going up in ones. So when x is -3, we see that y is -2. Then when x is 0, y is -4. Then when x is 2, y is 2. And when x is 3, y is 8. And then for part B of the question, we have to draw this graph between -3 and 3. Rather, this should be just 2. So, if we plot this on a graph when x is -3, y is equal to 2, so we've got 1, 2 shown here. Then when x is 2, y is -2, so here we've got -1, -2 will go over here. Then when x is -1, y is -4, so -4 is here. Then when x is 0, y is -4. Then when x is 1, y is -2. That's here. Then when x is 2, y is 2. So 2 goes here. And when x is 3, y is 8. So 8 is over here. So now let's go and join these up with a straight line, rather a smooth curve. We have here our graph of y equals x squared plus x minus 4. And then for part C, we have to use our graphs to estimate the solutions to x squared plus x minus 4 equals 0. Well, here we've got the line y equals 0, and we've got a solution here, and we also have a solution here. So we've got a solution at x equals -2.4, and also x equals 1.6. So here is where our solutions lie between. Question number 23. Fran asks each of 40 students how many books they bought last year. The chart below shows information about the number of books bought by each of the 40 students. So we've got number of students and the number of books. For part A, we have to work out the percentage of these students who bought 20 books or more. Well, here we've got 20 or more books, that corresponds to 2. What we have as well is 40 students in total. So to work out the percentage, we need to do 2 divided by the 40, and then we multiply this by 100, and if I work this out, we get 5%. Then for part B, we have to show that an estimate for the mean number of books bought is 9.5. Well, what we need to do is find out the frequency for each of the intervals. So we've got the number of books, the frequency, and what we also need to do is work out the midpoint and the frequency times the midpoint. So let's write down our intervals. Here are our intervals. So 0 to 4, that is 11. 5 to 9, that is 8. Then 10 to 14, that is 13. 15 to 19, that is 6. And then 20 to 24, that is 2. So what we can do now is find out the totals. So if I work out the totals, we've got 40 people in total. And if I work out the midpoints, we've got here 2, 7, 12, 17, and 22. And here we would have to add together eventually the frequency and the midpoint times the midpoints. 11 times 2 is 22, 8 times 7 is 56, 13 times 12 is 156. 6 times 17, that's 102. 2 times 22, that's 44. And if I add all these together, we get 380. So The mean is given by the total of the frequency times the midpoints, which is 380, divided by the total of the frequencies, which is 40, and if I work this out, it turns out indeed we get 9.5, and that's exactly what we wanted to show. Question number 24. Laura is a skier. She completed a ski race in 1 minute 54 seconds. The race was 475 meters in length. Laura assumes that her average speed is the same for each race. Using this assumption, we have to work out how long Laura should take to complete a 700 meter race. Give your answer in minutes and seconds. Well, what we can do is write the 1 minute 54 seconds in just minutes. Now, to convert from minutes to seconds, we would have to multiply by 60, and seconds to minutes, we would have to divide by 60. So, if I've got this 1 minute 54 seconds, the 54 seconds I can convert into minutes by dividing by 60. That's 0.9. So I've got 1 minute plus 0.9 minutes, which is 1.9 minutes. So I've got 1.9 minutes, and I know that this is how long it takes her to finish 475 meters. So the 1 minute 54 seconds is the 1.9 minutes. So I've got 1.9 minutes, which is 475 meters. What I can do is find out how long it will take to complete 1 minute, and I can do this by dividing by 475, and I have to do the same on the other side. So to find out how long it will take for 1 meter, I need to do 1.9 divided by 475, which is 0.004 minutes. So 0.004 minutes, that's how long it will take to complete 1 meter. And what we want to do in this question is find out how long it will take to complete 700 meters. So what I have to do now is multiply both sides by 700. So if I do that, it turns out we get 2.8 minutes. So we have 2.8 minutes it will take to complete 700 meters. So 2.8 minutes, well, I need to convert this in minutes and seconds, so I've got 2 minutes, and then the 0.8 meters, rather the 0.8 minutes, if I times this by 60, I get 48 seconds. So I have 2 minutes, 48 seconds. Then for part B, Laura's average speed actually increases the further she goes. How does this affect your answer to part A? Well, if she's going faster, it would take less time to complete 700 meters. Question 25. ABC is a right angle triangle. We've got AC, which is 14 centimeters, and the angle C, which is 90 degrees. The size of angle B to the size of angle C is in the ratio 3 to 2. And what we have to do is work out the length of AB to 3 significant figures. Well, if I've got 90 degrees here, that means the total of angle A and angle B, we've got 180, subtract this 90, And it turns out the total of angle A and B is equal to 90. Now, we've got this ratio 3 to 2, and we can use the bar model to help us find out the angle A and the angle B. So, we've got this ratio, angle B to angle A is 3 to 2, the total is 90, so if I do 90 divided by 5, that's 18. So each part is worth 18, which means the total for angle B is 54, the total for angle A is 36. So that means the angle B is 54 degrees, the angle A is 36 degrees. Now we want to find out the length AB, so let's label our sides. This 14 will be the adjacent, this will be the hypotenuse, so we need to find out what AB is. So what connects the hypotenuse and the adjacent is cosine. So we've got the cosine of 36 equals 14 divided by AB, so we need to rearrange for AB. So AB is equal to 14 divided by the cosine of 36. So if I work this out, we get 17.3, etc. centimeters. So we have 17.3 centimeters given to 3 significant figures. Question number 26. Here are the first 4 terms of an arithmetic sequence, and we have to write an expression in terms of n for the nth term of the sequence. Well, what we can do is find out the difference between each term. That will be plus 6. And then if we work out the inverse of plus 6, which is negative 6, 5 subtract 6, that's negative 1. So therefore, for the nth term, we have 6n subtract 1. So the nth term is 6n subtract 1.